A great artist always knows that the energy flows through them. I believe the human part moves aside and allows God energy comes through me and starts making my stuff. And the reason I'm a great artist, I know how to move over and let that energy come through me. And that's what people feel when they get close to my dresses or great art. The energy of the person making it comes out and they get drawn in, and they're not really sure why, but I believe great art comes spiritually. I would call my work my art, and I do art and fashion using different mediums. I started by one of my friends gifted me 4 lessons to learn Indian beaded earrings. And even then, when I started to learn that, I was still adding Swarovski and making them, instead of traditional, more modern and pretty. And those are my 4 classes I've ever taken. Beading is actually learned by practice. And that's what I did. I beaded incessantly from the minute I started. And then I have been gifted with this ability to do this. That's what I believe. I began collecting beads 24 years ago. I'd been diagnosed in 1989 with keratoconus, and while I was beading, my cornea ruptured. And then the next year, also ruptured. All of a sudden, your sight's just gone, and I was unable to bead for about 5 years. I just really wanted to stay connected with beads. And I collected beads, becoming the connoisseur, the rarest beads, and then overnight, from 3 surgeries, I saw 20/20, and then I had this awesome collection, and I started beading with that. These are all vintage beads from Germany in the 1940s and 50s. And what I do then is pour them out, and then I divide each of them into a color, and each bead is touched, and that's because I'm pulling energy back and forth for them to know I'm going to start using them, and me to get in my mind what colors I have. Because once I start, I don't stop. All my dresses that I come up with, I actually see them before I start. It's a vision that comes in very quickly. And since I don't sketch or draw or do mathematical calculations, it's that 1 second of seeing the dress. Then I go through and I see what beads I can match, and then pull them out of all the different compartments and put them all together, and then I start working. There are millions of beaders, and there are even more people that sew. And no one is doing fully beaded dresses like me. And to be an artist, you have to find a niche of what nobody else is doing.
This is the holy grail of my whole business. This is like the holy sanctuary, basically our temple or church that we keep the beads. I work with many different textures and style of beads. I like to work with vintage because of the energy of that, and they are pristine. That means no one's worn them. They're from the original packages. This is just a very small amount of my vintage beads. These are the oldest that you could get once, made in Austria. And I feel very honored every time I'm doing these packages, because that's the joy of doing and being able to get what I've got. And I get to do this all the time, and I do not take it for granted. But when you open this, these beads are now 80 to 90 years old.
For me, I feel like I've been keeper of the beads, and the way I kept them was to put them into dresses. This is a silver star flower, and this is the first piece that was ever made. Silver star flower being my first piece, I started it and didn't stop. This is the outfit that Lady Gaga wore with Tony Bennett on their new CD. Anything goes. The entertainment industry, I decided, was really going to be my beginning goal, and the end goal being in museums. Garden of Eden took 4 years, and she's really my favorite. And now that I know I can make these dresses, I thought, how am I going to get the world to pay attention to them? Fantasy is the white wedding dress with the most amount of beads. She's 400 pounds, 21.5-foot train, 18.5 feet long. She's made by 23 women over 3 years. So Fantasy was specifically made to leave a great, great, great piece of art for centuries. And I think she's one of the most amazing pieces of art in the world.
Hi, how's it going?
Well, we're doing the placement of the crystal boat.
When I first started, most of my pieces were taking over a year. And there's no way I could put together enough if my goal was to be doing museums. And my team and I worked together to try to learn different parts of dresses or making them up.
You see how that fabric takes away from the pleating of that center?
And plus, it makes the cups look like cups. We got to use it. We'll do a diamond in between.
So it looks like, yeah.
Diamond, 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 diamond.
I work with design people that really don't know how to bead, but they have a desire to be creative. And most of them have a background in either making jewelry or making dresses, and usually both, and hand sewing.
So what I would do right now for me is get a piece of paper in there and draw me that
the shape? Okay.
When I go to the studio, I'm helping my team on each part of their project that they're doing. I teach them how to put things together, but they're creative on their own.
Okay, here she comes. The fabric looks fantastic. I'm so glad it's on there finally. Yay, look at how pretty she is. This will be all solid beads, so when this gets up on the red carpet, it will just explode.
Temptress, because she has fabric, is the first dress that we are trying to get on the red carpet with.
This looks like a million cameras going off, and this is in semi-dark. This comes on with a spotlight in full dark. It's insane.
I started doing fabric a year ago because a company in LA had called me and wanted Eden for the Grammys. And I said, you can't sit in it. You can't walk down the runway, it's heavy. And if you want to be in this business, they've got to sit down for award shows and they have to be able to walk the red carpet.
This is more of that blue. No,
it's getting too blue. This is how we work. We design all night into the wee hours of the night. Then I go bead because I bead at night. I get up, we have dinner, and then we start in all over again. But we work about 15-hour days.
When you're going to do something great, you need to jump off a cliff and believe you're going to be shown. The reason I bead by myself at night is that there are no interruptions. The real beading for me is in private. The reason I keep making my dresses and doing this is to leave them for the world. I think it's a complete waste when you have been gifted abilities to not use them. And so I feel a responsibility to do that. And out of all that, fortunately, I really love to bead. So every day that I'm beading or every night, I give thanks for allowing me to do something I love.
In every house I've lived in, I've always made repairs and fixed it up in some way. And so I've been working on little projects every couple of months. So it looks like there's several layers of wallpaper. This is probably the original, closest to the plaster, and then there's some paint and then some other wallpaper on top of that. This is kind of the analogous part to my painting, is that I'm actually laying down layers that I later uncover but exactly how they get uncovered is the unknown part. It's interesting that becoming an artist was synonymous with starting to learn how to work on an old house. I was about 3 years old at my father's house, and he was a great drawer. My grandfather was a great artist, and he would teach me how to draw. When I first started painting, I was trying to make paintings that were like my drawings. I was trying to make them larger and in color. And then I found when I used many, many layers, I could add depth to the paintings. And using transparent layers and scraping and sanding, I can add even more layers and combinations than I can with just using a brush. I've tried so many different things in painting. I feel like my work changes almost every couple of years. I have certain stylistic patterns that people recognize, but I've been experimenting a lot. I always work in layers. Using layers allows transformation to happen and allows me to work with something that's already there. Oftentimes when I start a painting, I have to create a painting that I'll then react to. After I have that base layer on the painting, then I'll start laying down these lines using tape. The lines in the painter's tape was an important way for me to have some stability in the composition, some sort of a foundation, because frankly, the idea of working on a blank canvas is daunting. I try to start some paintings that way and I just can't do it. So I have to have some sort of structure in place first, and those lines satisfy that. This is always such a bittersweet process, you know? It's like kind of wrecking something I've been spending so much time on. But it's also really satisfying. And then I start covering everything up with the white paint. And I've tried lots of different colors, other tonal qualities. There's something about the white, the purity of the white paint, that's important for me to use as the next layer over the architectural lines. And then that white layer allows me to scrape through to then reveal the color in the lines beneath it. Whoa. I tend to work in series, and this most recent body of work was inspired by experimenting in the studio. I come up with all the ideas and ways of doing things by experimenting. The calligraphic mark making that I use is the hardest thing to explain. It's been the thing that I've done the longest. It's been it's been my drawings that I do since I was a young child, and they are very much a meditative process. That's the reference in this new series of works that connects to every other painting that I've done in the past. So this is the first painting where I discovered the process that I've been exploring. And I like it so much because I did things in the painting that I wouldn't do again. So there was a certain amount of naivete about the painting and not knowing what I had in mind, which is what makes the painting so good in my mind, and why I like it so much is because I didn't have any expectations, and therefore I was free to explore and free to discover. The process that I'm doing, it allows me to sort of discover meaning. I feel like there's something to discover. It's like a code, a secret code that will reveal something if you look at it long enough. I think this series of work is the most exciting work that I've ever done.
had to.
Fred Steele.
Sis. I don't know if I'm hungry or not, B.
You just looking, Jay?
Yep.
You're killing.
Just the sun was shining
Everywhere. Everywhere.
The sun was shining.
The sun was shining. Everywhere. Everywhere.
The sun was shining.
The sun was shining. Everywhere.
Oh, wow, wow.
My name is J.D. Steele.
I am Jevetta Steele.
I'm Jearlyn Steele.
I'm Fred Steele.
I am Billy Steele.
And we are the Steeles.
Fred's the ears of the group. Billy's the comedian. Jearlyn is the business head. JD is also another business head and the driver. And I'm sort of the person that supports. I play the supporting role.
That is so not true. That is lies and slander. Oh my gosh.
There's actually 6 of us. My sister, Janice, she's an ordained minister in California, and she actually sings very well as well. She just decided singing was not the thing, you know.
We grew up in Gary, Indiana. My father was the early encouragement for us because he was the guitar player, and he would take us to sing at places all over.
You know, Dad he was everything. He was the total catalyst for us that got us out there and kept us out there.
I was the first sibling to come to Minnesota in 1976. I was working in corporate America at the time and started moonlighting at the Children's Theater and at Mixed Blood Theater. And then when Fred came in town, he and I became a duet and started working with choirs together. And then when Jearlyn came along, the 3 of us started singing and doing a variety of things.
We won the Minnesota State Fair Amateur Contest. And we took our little $500 winnings, I think it was, and we were recording a demo, and things just snowballed from there.
And then Jevetta came along and stole the show, and Billy's just hanging on for dear life.
We'll take that target off.
And think about when he first went, as the first sibling in 1876 to be here, you know, raising the flag of the Steeles coming is awesome.
Summertime. Summertime, the living is easy.
Fish are jumping.
Fish are jumping. Oh, fish are jumping. And the cotton is high. Ooh.
Yeah, so now after that, so then the next section is your daddy rich. Your daddy's rich.
Is that a unison?
Your daddy's so rich.
The Colors of Gershwin was something that I have always wanted to do with the family, but getting them to buy into it, I think, was a bit obscure. But Jearlyn and I were pretty married to it the moment we heard that this was a great idea.
So we basically, as the brothers, we were gonna vote that we're gonna take a stand, and Jevetta was like, no, you're not. And we was like, okay, well, we'll work on the Colors of Gershwin. And that's how it came to be.
Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high.
My career highlights are, without question, working with my family and doing gospel at Colonus on Broadway was a huge highlight that took up about 27 years of our lives.
Career highlights for me, I guess, would be having an Academy Award nomination, as well as 4 gold records.
I'm assistant director of Sounds of Blackness. Some of those highlights, we've gotten 3 Grammys for different projects.
Another one had to have been the trip to London with Prince and the opportunity to do Carnegie Hall twice.
And this is our movie star.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but yeah, Jevetta and I do a Prairie Home Companion.
Right.
I was able to be in the movie and work with Meryl Streep, and that was a blast. And we were all in Graffiti Bridge.
Working with Prince was a highlight.
It was a highlight. We traveled and worked with him.
He wrote a song on our first album. And then, you know, the Gershwin show is definitely a career highlight because it came together in such a wonderful way.
I got rhythm, I got music.
first generation of Steele singers. This was a legacy passed down to us. Our grandfather was a singer with his siblings. Our dad, who was also a musician, he played guitar. He and his siblings sang, and they recorded gospel music. So passing it on to us was very, very natural. To see all of us get together at a family gathering, everybody sang.
When we get away, change my life. Change my life. Oh no, they can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away from me.
The reason why we call it the Colors of Grace, we want to put our colors to it. We try to stay with all the traditional melodies. And whatever spin we put on, we try to stick with that as close as we could.
Once the arrangements were done, it came together really well. JD does an incredible job of putting a set list together and having a flow that makes a lot of sense, and that's part of his responsibility.
And I disagreed with his flow. However, he was correct. And that's the thing that we realize is that in all of our positions within the family is that we really do understand who is supposed to do what. Because every one of the writers in the family or arrangers in the family have a different style of doing it. So JD's way of doing it is not to make any notes. If you were to look at the lyrics on his sheet of paper, there's not one scratch, not one check, not a word written. Jevetta, on the other hand, knows exactly, everything is written down. She's typed up all the backgrounds that she hears in her head, and she goes, this is what I'm hearing, and this is what I want you to do. Fred comes in with his keyboard, and he sits down and he looks over at us and says, this is what I want, Jearlyn, you sing this. Billy comes in with tracks. He's the one that constantly works on the nuances with us. Every one of them, their arrangements or their writing, it has a purpose. It is just not happenstance.
Saying that we could do just clarinet, just break it down a little bit on that.
That'd be great.
And then when we come back to all the big stuff.
Summertime.
Summertime. Ooh, summertime.
That won't work as good. That won't work as good. It's gotta be the drums gotta be like.
It was dragging.
Yes. So the drums have to set that tempo.
It's been such a delightful process. You know, the time that we've spent together actually coming up with the arrangements, and Billy just blew it open.
He did.
Yep.
He literally
took the
blew
lid
this
off of
thing
it.
open. And then Jevetta has an incredible eye for production part of this. To watch Jearlyn's growth into and handling all this booking and the communication with all the people, and it's just been absolutely fantastic. To see JD lose all of these responsibilities has been.
Oh, summertime. Yeah. The living is easy. Fish are jumping. Fish are jumping. Yeah. And the cotton is high. And the cotton is high. Hey, oh, your daddy's rich. Your daddy's so rich. And your mama's good looking. Your mama's good looking.
October 2014, we premiered The Colors of Gershwin, and we think it was a great success. The future holds a ton of possibilities. We're hoping to go into the studio, get it recorded, move it around into some festivals during the summer of 2015, and see what else happens out here. I think it has real legs, and we're planning to move it.
I got rhythm, I got music, I got my girl who can ask for anything more.
I got daisies in green pastures. I got my man who could ask for anything more. Oh man, trouble, I don't mind him. You won't find him round my door.
I got starlight,
I got sweet dreams.
I got my girl
Who could ask for anything more? Who could ask for anything more?
The most gratifying thing is singing with the family. Not only that, it's easier than singing with anybody else or doing it alone. When we sing together, we can lean on each other, we can exchange parts. This is the absolute best.
We got that kind of love that will last forever. Forever and a day, forever and a day.
This program is made possible by the state's Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.